If you've clicked on this video, we're talking about death. This is a little bit of a different kind of video. So yes, is it aesthetically pleasing? Absolutely not, but it's real life witchcraft. So today, it's not a great day. If you can guess by the title, my cat died. Very unexpectedly, very quickly, like 5 to maybe 10 minutes. And yeah, no warnings really. So, processing that, and I realized that while my book has the stuff that you could use, I just wanted to walk you through it a little bit as I'm handling things as a way to show you kind of a witchy way to handle death, in this particular case, for a pet. So to begin with, you might be wondering, what is this random cloth? I'm not showing you my actual ancestor altar, obviously. Major doxing if I do that. So I have it behind a tablecloth, as one does. Because yeah, all of the family's full names are there, and items from them, pictures of them, stuff like that. This is a permanent structure in my space. This stays up all year round, and it has all of our ancestors. This is my coffin bookcase that my grandpa helped me make years ago, and it now houses the ancestors. So it seems pretty appropriate. And I have quite a few shelves for the humans, and I'm actually behind. I still haven't added the one from last month. Here we are. I'm now adding another one. The last one last month was my uncle, and now my cat. And granted, when my uncle died, we weren't at home. So I wasn't able to do the stuff that I am now. And so I felt like I was going to walk you through it. But that's why this is the way that it is. Normally this isn't here. But I'm not going to dox myself, and I'm not going to undo the entire thing just to make a video. So enjoy. To be fair, this part got to say, I have these little, I don't even remember where I got them, but I think they're beautiful for the ancestor altar. And yes, my tarot deck is the one holding up the sheet. It's fine. The main piece we're talking about is not the piano next door, because small spaces, so we're just ignoring over there. This little corner. So this table is from my mother-in-law, and I love it as our central point for the main altar space here. And so, because it's a bookcase, fire safety, you don't want to be burning stuff in a bookcase. So that's what this table is for. It has a marble top, so it's pretty safe to burn things on. Obviously still use fire safety, but I like to burn our candles, incense, stuff like that here. If we do offerings to the ancestors, it goes on this. And, you know, we'll kind of pull down like the name tag, because again, that's how I do things. I use Jenga. Actually, I have the box over here. We're ignoring the hot mess of my bedroom. I was washing sheets this morning. But, Jenga. These, I would love to stand off where it says Jenga. Name tags. Fantastic. But, I will take their little name tag and put it down if I'm doing like a specific one for a specific person. Otherwise, this is just kind of a central hub. And so I've cleared this off, and I'm redoing it because I have a new need right now. So, like in the past, like my husband's used it for like Mother's Day. He's come to the little mini altar here to leave offerings to his mom. And, you know, for Samhain, things like that, this is the working space of the main corner, ancestor corner here. So, walking you through how I am processing and handling things as a witch. Obviously, step one was, again, I talked about this in my book, but when a death happens, I feel like witchcraft is the last thing to think about. So, first of all, we obviously checked for a pulse, breathing, monitored her, but she just went really fast. And so once it was very obvious, you know, her gums, her tongue were starting to change color, her nose was changing color as well. Not to go very graphic, but also that's just what happens. When she had passed away, very obviously, hadn't taken a breath for several minutes, and, you know, again, signs of death were setting in. That was the point that we started the process of finding a cremation place. We cremated our last cat, and I love it. easy, and just, it's so much better. And I'm not a big fan of burying anymore. I used to be. We did that for my first 4 critters that we've dealt with in their deaths. And then even with people, we were doing burials, and now we've kind of moved towards cremations. And for myself and my mom, it'll be aquamation. And depending on where you live, that may or may not be legal yet. It's a process. But anyways, we've decided with how easy it was with our last cat, when we got her cremated, we wanted to do that again. And so we called up we tried one place and they didn't answer. And we weren't sure if we wanted to go through the same place we had gone through before. And I think a big chunk of the cost that we ended up paying, but obviously you're grief-stricken because critters are family too, that was a lot of money. But I think a lot of that was the vet coming out to euthanize her, because that ended up being the best option with her. And so that was a lot of money. And as much as we love our fur babies, dropping $1,000 out of the blue when I also just got glasses yesterday, which was like almost $800. Enjoy your eyeballs if you don't need glasses. It is so expensive to be blind. It's just, oh, that one hurts. So I was already reeling from that. And the idea of dropping close to $2,000 in a 24-hour period was a lot. And so I was like, you know what? Let's maybe price around a little bit. And I realized probably a big chunk of the last bill was because of the doctor coming out. But still, we were trying to find out pricing a little bit. And I looked at a couple websites. One did not post their pricing. And so I was waiting for them to open. And then we ended up calling our vet, like just our normal vet, to be like, how much do you handle this? Can this be a thing that you do? They ended up being pretty cheap. It was still expensive, like $300. So prepare yourselves. If you plan to cremate your pet, especially if you want your individual ashes back, you're going to pay for that. It's cheaper than a human, though. So humans are like $2,000. Probably more at this point. Last time ours was like under $2,500 to cremate a person. But again, it costs money. So anyways, so we got the crematorium thing set up, dropped her off, filed all the paperwork and stuff that you have to do. And this one, we actually end up getting an urn back, which is going to be exciting. And so that we will pick up her with it, obviously. We'll get in like anywhere from like 3 to 5 business days up to 8 weeks. So during this time, I'm going to be utilizing this altar. I wanted to just kind of walk you through a little bit of what I'm doing. And if you are experiencing a pet death or you know what's coming up, hopefully this will give you ideas. Again, we're not aesthetically pleasing. I would love to have a witchy space that's beautiful and gorgeous and looks like all the Pinterest boards. But real life witchcraft, you have a piano next to your ancestor altar and you've got a pile of laundry next to it, because that's where we're at today. But we're going with practicality. That's what I'm all about. So start off, I have physically cleaned this table off. I cleaned off everything from it, physically cleaned it. I'm now going to go through and spiritually cleanse it with an herbal bundle, but you can use whatever you want. If you want to use visualization, a spray, like if you wanted to use like a rosemary, a sage, or even like a lemon spray, like a couple drops of an essential oil mixed in with water, that works. I have an herb bundle. I'm going to use that. Cleanse the space. If you don't know how to do that, I am going to be that promo person. I have it in my book, Path of a Witch. So if you want to check it out, always link down below. I know, I'm trying not to be too much of a salesy person, but also like I describe it in great detail of what to do. And also, there's like thousands of videos. So I'm going to cleanse this space, and then I will show you what I'm going to do next. Now that it is all cleansed, it is time to set up the altar. And that's it. Like, it's not very complicated. It's one of those things, again, if I had absorbent amounts of money that I could just use for spontaneous purchasing, I would love to have a statue to put up for the goddess I'm going to be working with. I don't. So, also, I don't have the time to go try and track down a deity statue. That's really not what it's about. So we use what we have around. So, I'll kind of walk you through this. Sparkly, glittery, with black altar cloth. And over here I have got a crystal skull that just lives on the ancestor altar, so moved it over. Have a little headstone. I think I got that from the Dollar Tree, to be honest. Maybe Walmart. And then this is a little sand clay thing that I made. I made a whole set, one for each Sabbath, and this is the one that represents Samhain, obviously ancestors, death, so that's there. And then a candle holder and a black candle. Always have candles on hand of the rainbow, every color, just in case. At least have like 2 or 3 on hand. And that's it. Like, I've left space at the bottom so I can put like my Book of Shadows page open here that I'm gonna need, and realistically I could also just plop this down because I'm going to be reusing 2 pages from this, or 2 rituals I should say, from this book. So the first one is the one I'll be doing today, and it's an adjusted variation of the bedside dying ritual that's on page 108, slightly rewording it. Obviously she's already passed, and gonna just slightly reword it for her and have that as the main thing, and I will be calling to hell in this particular instance and doing a ritual with her, incorporating something for her into it. I'm not exactly sure, to be perfectly honest, at this point, but she'll be involved at some point in the ritual. And then every day until I get my cat back, because this is a fairly decent sized spell candle, I'm just going to continue relighting it until we get her back. Honestly, our last cat that died last summer, it ended up taking like maybe a week. And so I think this candle can last until that point. But every night, I'm going to be doing the cremation vigil from page 208, which is basically just asking the element of fire, because that's the method we chose, to watch over her until we get her home. And so I'm going to be doing those 2. I'm going to write it down in a Book of Shadows. I had planned this as a video series of like making my own Book of Shadows with you guys, but I hadn't planned on starting with death, but you know what? That's how it usually goes. You never actually get to start your stuff with where you plan. Death just happens all the time. So I am going to be making my Book of Shadows starting with these 2, and yeah, I'll show you that process too. Although, before I walk away, I just want to point out, I'm not trying to do this as like a buy my book, but also like, that's what I wrote the book for. So, you know, I don't want it to feel too promo-y, but also like, I wrote this book for this kind of situation, and I hope that I've heard that it's helped people through their deaths that they've gone through, and I'm calling attention to it, because literally, I'm the same as you. Like, I don't have a super great, like, working memory, especially long-term, like, ritual stuff, and it was honestly so nice to not have to write up a ritual. To slightly adjust it is, like, pretty easy for me to do, but to just have it there and ready to go, that is why I'm writing the books that I am, so I don't have to think about it. I can literally go to my bookshelf, grab my own book, and use it. That's what they're for. And that's honest to God what I'm doing. I'm not really, like, I'm not here to try and have to write another ritual in this headspace. I don't feel like doing that. If you want to, that's your call. That's cool. I am using my own book. This is for real how I actually do witchcraft. Hence, I mean, I got a sheet covering the actual altar I use. Have a piano conveniently nearby. Like, this is real witchcraft. It's not always glamorous and pretty and all that jazz. Anyways, I just wanted to mention, this is not, like, buy my book. But I am literally using my own book for this, because that's what it's for. Truly, this is not how I thought I was going to start this series, but here we are. That's how life goes. So I'm planning to start a Book of Shadows with y'all. Here we are. I've got my binder. It was going to be my Book of Spells. I've changed my mind. So I like this one because it's the really, really, really big binder, because it's huge. So I like that. It's got multiple pockets, all that jazz. Next thing I love, this thing. I have to restock it, obviously, but this little pencil pocket holder for pens and stuff, because you're gonna need that as a witch. Then paper, and I have cleared all of the old stuff out. So all of these are empty, and I have ideas kind of how I want to organize it, but for right now, I know most of this I want to be regularly used. Death is like kind of, but kind of not. And I want it towards the end. And I was thinking maybe the last one, and then I thought, nah, my book is green, I'm gonna remember green. So we're gonna go with 28. I got these from like Amazon. You can get them like anywhere. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna flip to this section, and we're gonna have this be the death section. And I'm gonna write down my rituals. If I had a printer and ink, I would probably type it. I don't. That's the thing with witchcraft. We're just practical. So for this, I'm gonna, oh, I actually have it on the other table here. This is my favorite pen. I don't know why, it just writes beautifully. These are my favorite. Obviously, I'm not sponsored, but it's the Pilot G207. I don't know what makes it special, but it writes beautifully. I love these. This is usually the pens that I buy when I want to write in my book of shadows. Only thing is it does kind of bleed through. The paper, this is just like the college paper that you can get at like back to school season, which is right now. It's very, very thin, so it will bleed through a little bit, so they're not like the prettiest. Hence, eventually I would love to have these printed. But again, we're going with practical. This is what we got. We've got a pen, we got paper, and I am going to start with the ritual to do tonight, which is the, the first one that I told you before. I can't even remember. See, this is why we're writing it down, and we're doing this. So, I'm gonna go do that, and then I will check back in with you. Because The Life of a Witch is never done, I also realized in this book I really didn't have anything for keeping the ashes. And we plan to keep hers, at least for a while. So I kind of adapted the burial poppet things from 254 and reworded it just a little bit about keeping her ashes and putting them on the altar space. And yeah, I've got it all written out, all of the pages, so that I don't have to think about it, and now to put it into the Book of Shadows. And I figured, just to give you context, I mean, this binder is absolutely huge, but this is why I love it. You can just carefully flop it in, close it up, and then you're good to go. I do have to update this front page because none of this is accurate now, but I like the idea of 28, the green one here, being my death section. I don't know why. Mostly I think because the front of this book is green and I just associate it with that because I've seen this cover so many times. But yeah, so now obviously I'm not going to show you like doing the ritual because no, but I've at least got it written out and then I can perform it. I will probably do it, I don't know if it'll be this afternoon or tonight, but I've got it ready to go. And then eventually we will start filling in all of these other sections as a series together. But for this one, I just felt like I should show you how I guess to use my book. And just, you know, this is kind of why it's nice to have some things planned accordingly. Having an ancestor altar ready to go all of the time, that helps. Having tools, you know, having a spare black candle, it's nice to have. And, you know, a candle holder and things like that, you know. Just having these things ready to go, having these rituals, honestly, like, again, I'm not trying to be like, buy my book, but like, even if you just plan it and write it yourself, just do it ahead of time. Like, when you see this, just take an afternoon this month to write down something that you would want to do when a pet dies and when a person dies. You're still going to probably have to change it to tweak it to the exact situation that happens, but when you have it there, when it's ready to go, that is like the best because I don't want to have to be trying to spend even more energy thinking about how am I going to honor my cat or, you know, how am I going to honor a family member after they've passed when I can just have it there and I don't have to think about it. I can just do the ritual. And so, I mean, if you need ideas, I have a whole book, but if not, that's okay. You don't have to buy my book if you don't want to. I just wanted to share it. Obviously the words and stuff are going to be adapted, like I said, from my own book. That's the thing. I never can repeat an exact ritual twice. But it gives you an idea. So I hope this has been helpful and gave you some ideas. And pretty much I'm just going to be doing the vigil part where you light the candle and ask fire to watch over your beloved, whether it's a beloved pet or a family member or a friend or whatever, until you get the ashes back. So I will be doing that for at least probably the next week, if not 2 weeks. Who knows how long it's going to take. Until I get her home, then I'm going to do my slight adaptation from the burial poppet. I will be blessing her ashes and putting them on the main ancestor altar. So hopefully this has been helpful, and hopefully maybe you kind of like this different style thing. I've been planning to start it. I was thinking about starting it next week, not with this. This is going to be pretty far down the line in my plans, but here we are. So I want to make this with you guys. Obviously, like, I didn't show you everything I wrote down, but you kind of get a gist, and do this for all the things. So yeah, anyways, hopefully you enjoyed it. If you would like to support me and get access to exclusive content, the audiobooks, this whole audiobook is up. I'm still working on Path of a Witch, because life keeps happening. Today I was supposed to record 2 sections, and that's not happening. So one of these days, Path of a Witch will be done. This is why I need to record it before I hit publish. But it's alright. The audiobook for this, though, is ready to go, because I did that before I hit publish. That was a smart move on me. But yeah, so anyways, if you want to support me, patreon.com. If you would like to buy my book, it does help. Obviously, I wrote it for a reason, so I hope it would help you. Make sure to comment, subscribe, like, all that jazz, because I do plan to make this entire Book of Shadows with y'all, and have these pages so that we can, you know, I can walk you through actually building a Book of Shadows, not just random. I've always wanted to do this as a series, and so I've wanted to redo my Book of Shadows anyways. Now is a good time to do it. So here we are, with section 28 being the death section. And also, I guess I should mention this. Anytime I write down any kind of things, I'm gonna put the date. So today's date is the 18th. And anytime I add like a new entry, because it's always gonna be unique to the ritual I'm doing, I'm gonna put a date. That way, the Book of Shadows also functions as a journal of sorts. And the last page I can put any notes if I feel like I need to add anything, but I've kind of gotten to the point where I don't really change a whole lot. You know, some rituals, like if I did a reading or something, I would add that. But yeah, so anyways, till next time, thank you for your support, and blessed be.